Thanks so much, John. And wow, isn't it exciting when somebody else introduces you with lots of the things about why you're doing what you're doing? It's so much better when somebody else does that. So thank you, John. I'm so excited to chat with you today about boosting productivities, time strategies for success. John reached out to me an hour ago and said, Lisa, would you be available to talk today at Good Business Karma Networking? And I said, sure. I said, any hot topics you want. I said, I have a few that I could certainly chat about. And he said, whatever works for you. And if you've heard me at some networking events that include speaking engagements like this, I always say out loud, sign up to talk at one of these events. Share your massive value with the individuals who are here. You should always be ready to speak if somebody calls you at the last minute for a 5 minute or 15 minute or maybe even up to an hour presentation in some kind of way. So here we go. Get ready to take notes. I got awesome best practices for you about why and how you're investing your time. So think about this. There's only 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour and 24 hours in a day. And we're bombarded with things that we need to do. Think about this. Time management is an oxymoron. We can't manage time. Who can we manage? Ourselves. So we really need to change our perception around time, thinking about what's your mindset around time. It's really essential to plan your life and live your life and plan your work and work your plan and really think about your passion and your purpose. Understand this, that planning does not mean that you can't be spontaneous and flexible. We all decided to be entrepreneurs or business owners for flexibility. How many of you are working way too hard than you ever did before, or you've created another job for yourself? It does not need to be like that. We really need to think about how that we're planning and organizing our time, and you need to plan to say yes to those things that are related to your life, your work, your business, your play, and your purpose. You have to think about that perception of time around the fact that you can't manage time. And then how are you motivated and driven? How are you living your life purpose? And what moves and motivates you every day? We want to be proactive rather than reactive. So many times we're jumping around for some phone call or some email or something that's coming to us rather than being proactive. When you're reactive, you're living in happenstance, you're hassled, you're hurried, and you're just responding to notifications. When you're proactive, you're intentional, you're meaningful, you're purposeful based upon your strategy. So here are 6 best practice time strategies for success. Number 1, create your strategy. Really brainstorm your why, your purpose, your vision, your core values, your mission, your competitive edge. That becomes your strategic business framework, a one-page document with your power words and phrases to really drive your planning, branding, marketing, sales, and why and how you're working not only in, but on your business. I'm going to talk about that topic on Thursday. I'll put that information in the chat for Polarizing Networking if you want to come to that event as well, and you get a double dip of all these best practices from Lisa with Illuminations Consulting. So how many things have you done in the past 24 hours to support your life purpose and your mission? Personally, professionally, business, organizationally. I encourage my clients to read their strategic business framework, your power words and phrases in the morning. Work your day, live your day, read them at the end of the day, and reflect upon that, on why and how you were investing your time and energy. You have to get to the place that you know and love and live why you're doing what you're doing, how you're doing it, and who you're doing it with. And to reflect upon that, you want to celebrate your strengths and keep doing those activities. You want to identify areas for growth. You want to consider ideas to develop. And get this one, you must break habits that are no longer efficient, effective, and productive. We can't keep being lifelong learners and keep stacking things up that we take in from the best practices we learn every day through networking and webinars and reading and all the stuff. You have to think about how you're integrating that into what it is that you do, and you have to stop doing things or change how you're doing things on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Number 2, be proactive. I mentioned that briefly before. So when you're proactive in what you do, you're investing your time and energy based upon your why, what success means to you, and your strategy. Your to-do list becomes a success list when you prioritize it. So think about these 3 Ds. You either do it, you delegate it, or you dump it. Is it immediate, this week, next week, or when you have time? There's 4 quadrants you can think about whether things are urgent, important, or the combination thereof. So are they urgent and important? Are they not urgent or unimportant? Are they urgent and not important? Or are they not urgent and not important? The first things, urgent and important, you do. The urgent, not important, you plan and schedule. The not important and not urgent, you delegate. And the not important and not urgent, you eliminate. So focus on your why, your priorities, your action steps to be productive in taking your business to the next level. Number 3, work in and on your business. Working in your business is the productivity that's related to serving your customers and your clients, preparing for meetings based upon your craft and your specialty in the here and now. It's about your billable hours for planning, preparation, engagement, service, tasks, projects, and contracts. Working on your business is the strategy related to your branding, marketing, sales, product development, with a focus on planning for the future. Working on your business sets the tone for a return on investment, for really thinking about how you're receiving your revenue through your planning, strategy, branding, marketing, sales, admin, all of the above. So you want to think and plan, you want to implement and act, and you want to review and reflect. My big question to you is, are you busy, B-U-S-Y, or are you busy, B-U-S-I-N-E-S-S, in and on your business? Number 4, stop multitasking to be efficient, effective, and productive. We are not as cool as we think we are. And I always thought that women, especially, however our brains and our world is, that we were good at multitasking. It is not true. You're really task switching. You're not really multitasking. Our brains don't work like that. There's research on it. Go check it out if you want to. But consider this. Here's the reasons to stop multitasking. It takes too much time to get back to what you were working on. And you need to remember where you were in that process to get back to where you're returning to. And guess what? You're going to make more mistakes. And the more complex or unfamiliar the task, the more time lost. So why focus on one task at a time? Our priorities and our clients deserve our active, undivided attention. And complete your task the right way the first time. Feel less stressed and more accomplished, and celebrate your results and outcomes. Think about this question. How much time and energy in dollars is multitasking costing you? Number 5, be prepared for your day. This is one of my favorites. So in the morning, I open up all my documents, all my correspondence, all my websites, everything I need for all of my activities, meetings, events throughout a day. So I have my to-do list for the day actively right there. So then I work my day. I come to this networking event. I have a one-on-one meeting coming up soon. I have some time scheduled with myself. I have all these different activities to do. Here's the fun part. After each of those activities, or at the end of the day, I get this awesome sense of accomplishment because I know that I did write the email after this meeting. I am doing my notes from this networking and speaking engagement I have today. I'm doing my next steps from any of my one-on-ones that I have. And then I'm closing each of those pieces of correspondence and each of those open um, uh, website pages. And guess what? That gives me a sense of accomplishment and a sense of closure. Business owners don't turn off and don't shut down. When I shut down my computer at the end of the day and close all of those documents, first of all, I know I did everything that I needed to do and all of the next steps with that. And I get to take a breath and I get to let it go. And then I get to be present and intentional wherever I am in those next activities. And that doesn't mean that I can't check my phone later on if I want to, but you get a real sense of accomplishment there. So my affirmations about that are, I am efficient, I am productive, I am accountable. So how are you beginning and engaging and closing your day to plan and check off items on your to-do list? Number 6, listen to this one hard. Delegate and subcontract. I encourage business owners to document your activities over the course of a month and mark those activities down that you don't like doing, that you don't want to do, that you're not good at, that are repetitive tasks. And then review that list. It might look ugly as you take a look at that overall, and you might not really think that you're cool enough to delegate and subcontract, but there are definitely activities in your business that you are doing that somebody else should be doing. And then you can do other activities that are revenue generating activities and that are activities that are going to support you in planning, developing, and growing your business. So choose to engage with virtual assistants and subcontract out to other experts that are going to take less time, energy, and dollars to make those things work related to your bookkeeping, some of your marketing kinds of things, repetitive tasks that you do over and over again. You have to value yourself and plan to invest your time and energy in yourself and your business. When you spend time, it's used up, it's exhausted, it's gone. You can't get it back. When you invest time, you commit with expectation for satisfaction, gain, profit. So how are you connecting and balancing your personal, professional, business, and organizational life, doing the most important things? What's your process? Success is a journey. Be magnetic. Take action. Monetize. Thrive. Do what you love. Protect your calendar. You should not be available 24/7. So invest your time and energy in activities to achieve the results that you desire. Work smart, achieve results, celebrate often, have fun. So let's plan a time to chat and continue the conversation. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing your takeaways related to these best practices for how you're boosting your productivity with time strategies for success. I'm Lisa Heintzelman with Illuminations Consulting, optimizing your success.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for that wonderful presentation. I learned a lot today, and we affirm all of these things that we got to do as business owners. Now we're open for questions. Daniel.
Thanks, John, and thanks, Lisa. That was awesome. I had one quick question because you tagged on one thing that I've heard over and over and firmly believe in. when it comes to, I think it was number four, with the stopping of the multitasking, one
Yeah.
of the areas that I found individuals have trouble with that is really setting up the boundaries that allow them to do that. What are some of the ways you work with clients or some suggestions you have to set boundaries to prevent multitasking?
One of the easiest ones is deciding how you're going to turn off or limit or respond to notifications. That's a way, way easy one. If you are distracted by any of the notifications that are coming in on your laptop or on your phone, then consider whether you're going to turn them off in the way that they pop up, and then know that you're going to go back to them so that you can see what has come in to be efficient, effective, and productive. Consider that when you are here like this or across a table from somebody, how are you turning your phone off and turning your phone upside down? How many of you have sat across from somebody when we were back face to face, and maybe some of you are still doing some things face to face today, and you're sitting with the person having this potentially rich, robust conversation, and then they say, "Ooh, so and so is calling me. I have to take this call." Are you kidding me? Are you that cool? It's really different if you're already thinking about that, my mom's going to call or somebody's going to call me. Then, maybe preface that in the very beginning, but otherwise, you can get back to that person in whatever many more minutes are going to be in between that time. You're not meeting and doing something with somebody for 2 and 3 and 4 hours. I realize the importance of things that are essential to us, but you should not be available 24/7. And if you are, how are you focusing on me? And when I talk about me, I'm talking about all your people. How are you focusing on me intentionally related to that? Hope that was helpful, Daniel.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Holly, what's happening? What's going on?
Hey, love, I always love the massive value you deliver. But now, how do we get people implement these? So many times, I'm guilty of that too. There's many events that you're partners with and delivers massive value. They have their events at the same time, and you have your laptop. Some people have multiple laptops. They're attending both or three events at the same time. And I see so many people doing that. But I want your intake on this. So can you focus on all of them? I say no, right? But then you don't want to miss all of them because you're partners with all of them. So we'll love your input.
Well, so consider the fact that that goes back to the multitasking thing, and consider the fact that that has to go with being intentional and present where you are. And let's go all the ways to swing the pendulum to the obnoxious phase. Think about how obnoxious that is. And, I know that some people decide to participate in some of these driving in their car. I'm not impressed by that. You're not really taking notes. Plus, you should be safe on the road with where you are. And the people who aren't taking notes. So they're driving by to make sure that they can get their words out to you. And it's almost like that whole thing of, doing networking or engaging in something in the drive-through at McDonald's. And that's not what it's all about. We have to be intentional. Susan, you thought that was funny, huh? And I think I think we have to really think about why and how we're being present and we're being intentional because of why and how we're working not only in but on our business. I want to share something else quick. You asked about, so we are sharing all these best practices. How do we really implement them? I'm going to say this for myself and I want to say it for you. We each should be sharing out the massive value of why we're doing what we're doing. Because guess what? We can share all the information in the world, but our clients need to hire and engage and participate with us for implementation. And you are more than welcome to go implement the variety of things that I shared with you into what it is that you're doing. And think about this related time. If it's going to take you more time and energy to figure out how to implement it yourself, then get on my calendar today so that we can really talk about, explore, and reflect upon these best practices so that you can integrate and implement them into your business. It's the same thing with anybody else who you've been talking to out there that is telling you how to do this with strategy, this with branding, this with marketing, this with time, this with social media, this with being more productive. Any of those things, get with those people who you're excited about the best practices that you shared. Having a one-on-one with them does not mean that you have to become their client, but you might realize how very important that might be to you and what that benefit will be integrating those best practices into your business every day.
Wonderful. And we just have one more question from Coach Hess, and then we go into a breakout room. Go ahead, Coach Hess.
Oh, Lisa, thank you so much. You do a great job. You're awesome and always bring great value, like Alex suggested. My quick question is that we talk about working on the business, and we, certainly get that versus in the business. I got people switching the hat, right? But what happens in that transition for me a lot of times is getting a bit of a separation between being a manager versus being a leader. And so, yeah, they get that leader hat, but it's still got to do the manager. And there's a real fine line that I'm working with all the time to try to figure out how to get those best practices in place with the two different views of a leader versus a manager.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about that is that we've been kind of messed up through that whole leadership management kind of thing over the years. And we're not really educating and providing the opportunity for individuals to grow as a leader and then grow as a manager as appropriate. And think about why and how it is that you're a leader within your business, even if you don't have any employees, and then that will set you up for success when you do have employees. Leaders are about sharing the vision and inspiring through what it is that we are doing. And leaders leave their egos at the door and surround themselves with the very best people. And so we need to really be thinking about how it is that we are delegating out there. How are you sharing with other individuals who might be your employees, your virtual assistants, your subcontractors, anybody who you're partnering with, based upon what is your strategy? What are roles and expectations? What does productivity look like? And accountability. And if managers are set out there to babysit, that's not the effective use of managers within a workplace overall.
Excellent. Thanks, Lisa.
And Lisa,
You're
how can we best reach you? We want to ask.
I just put my information in the chat. I'm putting it here now. I hang out on LinkedIn, Alignable, and Facebook if you want to connect with me there. My calendar is there if you'd like to plan a time to chat. I'm fascinated about why people are doing what they're doing. And so I welcome the opportunity to have a one-on-one with you. I know that many of us have already had one-on-ones. If you'd like to hop on my calendar again to continue the conversation, I welcome that. I'm always curious about why people are doing what they're doing and to chat about best practices as you're integrating them in and on your business.